Mr. Speaker, this week, world leaders are gathering in New York for the United Nations General Assembly, and throughout this whole process, we are reminded yet again of just how broken the UN system really is. Nowhere is this more evident than at the UN Human Rights Council. What a misnomer. This body that is supposed to promote and defend human rights worldwide has become a tool used by human rights abusers. And the office that provides support to the Council, the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, OHCHR, is no better, as it is overrun with an anti-Israel bias and an anti-Israel agenda. We see this play out each time the Council meets for its Bash Israel Yippee, a day dedicated to permanent agenda item 7, the only agenda item of the Council devoted to a single country, Israel. This year marks the 10th anniversary of the Council, and in those 10 years, Mr. Speaker, there have been over 70 resolutions condemning Israel and about 65 resolutions for all of the other countries combined, 70 on Israel, 65 for every other country. Countries like China, Russia, Vietnam, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, and Cuba use the Council as a way to detract attention from their abuses and play upon the natural anti-Israel bias at the Council and the OHCHR. So tomorrow, when the Council meets to discuss Agenda Item 7, it will be another Bash Israel Day that the administration failed to prevent. It will be another example of how this administration's influence fails to protect our friend and ally, the democratic Jewish state of Israel. Instead of continuing to legitimize the sham of a body, Congress must withhold all contributions and participation at the Council and to the OHCHR and call for the dissolution of the Council. And the administration must press the High Commissioner to denounce Agenda Item 7 and work against the inherent anti-Israel bias of the Council and the Office of the High Commissioner of Human Rights. Earlier this year, Canadian Professor Michael Link was appointed as the Special Rapporteur for the Palestinian territories. Despite his obvious bias and conflicts of interest, which we now know he lied about in his paperwork, this selection was so egregious, Canada's foreign minister from Professor Link's home country urged the UN to reconsider his appointment. The administration should echo those calls, but instead it has been silent. The administration should also lead in opposition to the upcoming re-election next week of Jean Ziegler as an advisor to the Council. Ziegler is a notorious puppet of the Castro regime and an avowed defender of dictators and apologist for Islamic extremist groups, and had no business being elected the first time around, let alone being re-elected. The Obama administration had an opportunity to block his candidacy while serving as the coordinator for the Western European and others group this year at the Council, but failed to do so. And now it looks as if Ziegler's re-election is a done deal, thanks to the administration's failure to act. The administration, Mr. Speaker, continues to argue that only by being engaged and only by being full members of the UN can it advance our interests and protect Israel. Yet next month, UNESCO is set to adopt a resolution that seeks to whitewash the Jewish and Christian religious and historical ties to Jerusalem. And while we might not be voting members of the full UNESCO body, this administration is an active member of UNESCO's Executive Committee, where this resolution was first approved. Where was our influence then? We can't even prevent a resolution that wipes away Jewish and Christian ties to Jerusalem, despite these being historical facts. It is very apparent that either the administration has no influence at the UN or the administration has no desire to upset the entrenched and damaged status quo. That is why it is up to Congress, Mr. Speaker, to force the change at the UN. urge all of my colleagues to take a long, hard look at the Human Rights Council as a representation of all that is wrong and bad with the UN, and to make reforming the UN a priority going forward. It will be up to us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.